Hey everybody, so in this video we're going to do a little bit more review of taking scales and then finding actual measurements from them. So this is what we started on Friday. Today we're going to focus more on like maps and floor plans, which is more of like an applied way of doing this. So we'll do a little bit together and then we'll get you some practice. So if you could make sure as you watch this video, first of all, thank you for making it here. As you watch the video, if you could make sure to just jot this down on your practice paper, that way you have it, that would be awesome. And then we're going to have you turn this in as soon as you're done. So for our first example, so the scale of this map of Louisiana has a scale of 1 inch to 40 miles. On this map, the distance from Lake Charles, so this city, to Baton Rouge, this one, is going to be 3 1/8 inch. Right, so somebody must have like taken their ruler and just decided that those were about 3 1/8 inches apart. And we want to figure out how far apart they are in real life, so in miles. So what we can do, we learned on Friday, we could make a proportion, a ratio table. So let's set up a proportion. And the first thing, again, we know a proportion is just two fractions that are set equal to each other. So the first thing we need to do is use our scale. So we know that 1 inch is worth 40 miles. Okay, and then we either should know another mile measurement or another inch measurement, and we do, right? They tell us that these cities are 3 1/8 inches apart. So on our proportion, we need to make sure that number goes in the numerator because we picked the numerator for inches. So 3 1/8. So then what we're looking for is how many miles. We can put an X there. So we said once we have this set up, we could use a proportion, or I'm sorry, we could use cross multiplication, or we could just do a direct multiplicative relationship, which means, well, we know 1 times 3 1/8 has to get us to 3 1/8. So if we have to multiply that by that for our numerators, we want to do the same thing for our denominators. So 40 times 3 1/8. And that should give us our amount of miles. So why don't you pause this video, see if you can get that answer, and punch it into Edpuzzle. Okay, so hopefully we're getting 125 miles for that. If you got that, that's awesome. Again, that makes sense, right? Because both of these cities are in the same state. It's not a crazy high number or crazy low number, so that seems realistic. So what we're going to do next is do a little bit more practice with maps using an online website, which I'm going to show you in a second. So essentially, we're going to be given two cities on a map, and we have to see if we can calculate their distance apart, just like we did in our first example. So we'll do one example together, and then we will have you try 4 more rounds of it. So you're going to go to this website. I'll post it right in the Edpuzzle, or you could get it from Canvas. So you're going to hit Start Game, and it is going to give you 2 cities. So we're going to jot them down, so we don't forget. And then we're going to see if we can use the scale, which is going to be 1 centimeter is worth 600 kilometers, to see if we can get the actual distance apart. So if we go back to our website, so we're going to need to drag the ruler so that we can have it line up with the 2 red dots. Let's see. So there we go. Okay, so it looks like about 27.5 centimeters is how far apart these 2 cities are. So we're going to do 27.5. That's the amount of centimeters, and we know for each centimeter, that's going to be worth 600 kilometers. So we're going to multiply this by 600. And that should give us an answer of 16,500 kilometers apart. And we are going to plug that in. Let's see if it works, and we're going to have to record how far off we are. So 16,500. Okay, and we were off by 70 kilometers, which is really not bad. And you can just jot that down so you don't forget. So what we'll have you do is pause this video and try 4 more rounds of that. Make sure you jot down your cities, show me the work for how you're getting your distance, and then make a note of how far off your answer was. All right, so by now, hopefully you have finished off rounds 1 through 4. What we're going to do next on the back side of your practice page is just do a couple more questions, and we're going to have you try these. So like number one, it tells you that a map of New York has a scale of 2.75 centimeters is worth 16 kilometers. So again, just like we did before, since they want us to use a proportion, we'll get you set up with that first. So we're going to take our scale and just make it our first fraction in our proportion. And that'll help you see where you need to plug in the rest of the values that they give you. So there's your scale. You're going to see if you can find the actual distance apart in kilometers for those two cities. Number two, same thing, just it's very similar, just a little bit different. So they give you this playground, and they say that somebody wants to walk their dog around the perimeter of it. So the maps give it to you in inches. You have to figure out the distance of each side in feet. Again, perimeter means the whole way around. So just find each of the 4 side lengths in terms of feet, and then use that information to get your total perimeter and tell us how long the walk would be. I think you're ready for that one. And then the last one that we're just going to touch on today is the use of floor plans. It's really the exact same thing as maps, right? So they give you this diagram of an apartment, so the floor plan, it measured in inches. And you want to see if you can use your scale, which is right here, right, to figure out the dimensions of whatever rooms they want you to find. Just so again, you could set up a proportion like you're going to do in number one for each of those, or you could just think about it like we did for the maps one, right? You could really just multiply by the scale factor. That works too. Okay, so hopefully this Ed puzzle helped. Thank you for trying to get this practice done. I'm sorry I can't be there with you today, but I hope to be back soon, and thank you for working hard today.